Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session of PsychEdu Insights with Divya. So today I'm here with a very interesting concept of non-probability sampling techniques in research. Now, whenever I talk about sampling techniques, it is a common topic for all the subjects because it is present in paper 1 under unit number 2, that is research aptitude. Apart from that, if you speak about psychology, it is also a very important concept in unit number 2, that is research methodology and statistics. Similarly, if you pick up the NET syllabus of education, this is also a very important topic under unit number 6, research in education. So irrespective of whichever subject you're giving your set on NET examination, sampling techniques is a concept that you cannot, ignore. There is usually a short question on sampling techniques. And whenever I talk about sampling techniques, broadly it is classified under two categories: probability and non-probability sampling techniques. In today's class, I'm going to talk about non-probability sampling techniques, and very soon I'll be getting up with a new topic wherein I'll be explaining the probability sampling techniques in research in detail. So with this, I'm going ahead. Now, before I actually get into the details of non-probability sampling, I would just like to take a few minutes and explain the difference between probability and non-probability sampling. Okay, so whenever I talk about probability sampling techniques, you might have heard the word probability in your day-to-day life. What is the probability of, getting the rain today? So you might say it's a 50-50% chance seeing the clouds. So whenever I talk about chance, there is an equal chance that, each and every member of the population can be the part of the sample which is going to undergo the experimentation, or which is going to undergo the implementation of the research, or in other words, which is going to be a part of the research. That is said to be a probability sampling. That means each and every member of the population has an equal chance to be to be selected in the final sample. When this is the case, it is said to be a probability sampling methodology. Okay, that means over here, the chances of bias is quite less. However, when I speak about non-probability sampling, the non-probability sampling is exactly the opposite. Over here, each and every member of the population does not have an equal chance of getting selected in the final, in the final set of sample, which is going to get the research implementation by the researcher. Over here, there are several reasons why people usually prefer non-probability sampling techniques that we will be seeing later on. However, over here, since every person doesn't have an equal chance of being in the final sample, the chances of bias in case of non-probability sampling is very high. That means, say, for example, if there's a lottery, a national level lottery is there, and each and every Indian who is staying in India can participate in that lottery, can purchase a lottery ticket, and there is a probability that everyone at least has a 1% chance who has purchased the lottery ticket to get, to win the final prize. Maybe it's 10 crore rupees. So every person who has purchased the lottery ticket has an equal chance of getting the bumper prize, right? So when this is the case, it is a probability sampling. However, if there is a lottery ticket, I mean, there's a lottery which is restricted to only a few set of people. Maybe a set of people who are living in a particular society can only participate in this lottery, then you are restricting. So over here, even though naturally there are 10 people, for example, who are living in the society, only from those 10 people, anyone is going to win that bumper prize. Over here, you have not included each and every person of the country who can participate in the lottery. So this is an example of non-probability. You have, taken up a particular sample on your own discretion. That means over here, a researcher's role is quite important. So When the sample is selected on the basis of the researcher's discretion, it usually goes to non-probability sampling. And over here, the chances of bias is more. Whenever we talk about research ethics, bias is something that we should be avoiding. So over here, since the chances of bias is more towards non-probability sampling, one of the what you can say limitations of non-probability sampling is also that usually whatever results you get, that cannot be generalized to the population, because you have not selected, or basically you have not opened the platform for every person of the population to be part of your research. Equal chance नहीं दिया गया है. क्योंकि आपने equal chance नहीं दिया गया है, हो सकता है कि जिस भी सैंपल पे आपने वो पर्टिकुलर एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है, that is not a representative sample. And since it's not a representative sample, whatever results you get, you cannot, project it towards the population. So that's why these are the two major limitations whenever we speak about non-probability sampling. One is there are very, very higher chances of bias, which is not a good thing in research. And secondly, the results, 99% of the times you cannot generalize your results to the population, since your sample usually won't be a representative sample in case of non-probability sampling techniques. Okay, so the disadvantages of non-probability sampling are usually the advantages of probability sampling. Fine, so the other details of probability sampling I'll be covering in the next lecture of mine, wherein I'll be coming up with a video on probability sampling techniques. So now hopefully you have understood the basic difference between probability and non-probability sampling techniques. Moving ahead, let's start with the types of non-probability sampling. The very first type of non-probability sampling is your judgment sampling, also said to be the purposive sampling. Whenever I talk about the judgment or purposive sampling, जब भी रिसर्चर जानबूझकर एक ही पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन से डेटा लेता है, that is said to be purposive or judgment sampling. Now let me elaborate. For example, I want to usually this happens in action research. Okay, action research में क्या होता है? For example, if I'm working in a school and I'm facing an issue that even though I teach really well, I'm very sure about my teaching skills, still I'm facing a difficulty that my students are not getting the marks which I usually which I was expecting from them. Okay, so maybe the way that I teach is the lecture method, and students usually get bored during my lecture. That might be one of the reasons. So what I do is, so what difficulty I'm facing is, I'm facing a difficulty in one particular class. Say, for example, I'm facing this difficulty in standard 6th, where I teach science. Okay. So over here, मेरे 6th standard में मुझे ये difficulty face हो रही है कि students को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है जो मैं सिखा रही हूँ. This is what I'm assuming. Maybe I take a need analysis survey and I find out what difficulties they are facing. And I understand that the students, they feel that my way of teaching is monotonous. It's simply a lecture-based method. They are not getting involved, activity-based methods and all, etc. So यहाँ पे मुझे problem समझ में आई है. मेरा problem associated है 6th standard students पे of this, for example, ABC school where I'm teaching. So here, जो भी मैं solution ढूंढने की कोशिश करूंगी, मैं उसी school के लिए करूंगी. I'm not going, and for that particular class, maybe I'm not facing this issue in my 7th grade where again I'm teaching science, or maybe in the 9th grade where I'm teaching maths. वहाँ पे मेरे student के achievement के scores, your marks basically are very good. I'm just facing this issue in the 6th class. So here, whatever intervention I might come up with, that means over here in my hypothetical example, because of my lectures, the students are not able to understand, because students को वहाँ पे involvement नहीं लग रहा है, active learning नहीं हो रही है. So here the same concept, maybe I pick up cooperative learning strategies and I make a beautiful program wherein the same concept I'm teaching, but by making sure that my students are getting involved in the process. Okay, so जब ये हो रहा है तो मेरा implementation किस पे हो रहा है? जानबूझकर मैंने उसी स्कूल के 6th standard के students को select किया है. This is said to be a purposive sampling. There is a purpose behind it. Judgment sampling also, that okay, I know that I'm going to get the data from this particular sector only. इसका मैं एक और एग्जांपल देती हूँ. पहले purposive नाम क्यों है ये समझिए. Purposive sampling, purposefully I have taken a particular class as my sample in my research. So if this is the case, it is said to be purposive sampling. So जब स्कूल का example दिया, that is an example of purposive sampling, 6th grade. Okay. Now, why is it also said to be judgment sampling? Maybe, my research is very different. And say, for example, I am actually trying to uh, uh, basically work on a research wherein my sample, I'm expecting the sample to be delinquent people, delinquent students. Delinquent students means, और kids basically means वो बच्चे जिनमें criminal tendencies है, यानी कि वो बच्चे जिनका कोई crime history है. So naturally, this I'm not going to get in each and every house. There will be a specific, location or maybe an area where such type of, people reside, जहाँ पे ऐसे तरीके के कुछ cases है. So first of all, what I will be doing, I might actually, if I have contact with some lawyers or maybe some people who are in this particular field, कुछ NGOs जो इन बच्चों के साथ वर्क कर रहे हैं, तो उनसे मैं जाकर पहले बात करूंगी कि कहाँ पे मुझे ऐसे लोग मिलने वाले हैं, या फिर ऐसे बच्चे जहाँ पे मे बी मैं जो अपने I want to do some counseling, I have come up with some counseling techniques so that they can leave this particular tendency and they can focus on their studies, maybe something like this. This is a hypothetical purpose of my research. Okay, तो यहाँ पे जब ऐसा सीन है, I will be going first of all to people और जो कि इस particular field में work कर रहे हैं उन बच्चों की भलाई के लिए, and then I might get the contacts. तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि एक particular location में या फिर एक particular NGO जहाँ पे ऐसे बच्चे मुझे मिलेंगे जिनका कोई पास्ट क्रिमिनल रिकॉर्ड हो. इट कैन बी एज सिंपल एज पिक पॉकेटिंग. ओके, तो फिर उन वहां पे मैं जाऊंगी, मुझे वो बच्चे जितने मुझे मेरे रिसर्च के लिए चाहिए, तो वो मुझे बच्चे वहां पे मिल रहे हैं. सो दिस इज माई जजमेंट सैम्पलिंग. आई नो दैट ओके, इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया और इन दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आई एम गोइंग टू गेट सच किड्स. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ रोमिंग हियर एंड देयर एंड ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट कहाँ पे मुझे ऐसे बच्चे मिलेंगे जिनके अच्छे के लिए, जिनके भले के लिए मैं अपना रिसर्च करना चाहती हूँ, आई एम गोइंग टू गो वेरी पर्टिकुलरली टू अ स्पेसिफिक प्लेस, or I'm going to very specifically approach a particular organization. So this is again based on my judgment. Of course, this judgment is based on some experience or some information that I had studied, maybe read somewhere, or of course that I had researched based on certain facts. So this is the very first type of non-probability sampling, that is your judgment sampling or your purposive sampling. Hopefully you all have understood this. Moving ahead to the second type of sampling of non-probability sampling, convenience sampling. Convenience sampling, as the name suggests, जो मेरे लिए convenient हो. Usually this is seen in surveys. यानी कि जब भी हम कोई सर्वे करते हैं, सर्वे टाइप का रिसर्च, नाउ इट कैन ऑल्सो बी अ नीड एनालिसिस सर्वे बिफोर यू एक्चुअली स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन योर मेन रिसर्च, या फिर सर्वे को हम एक मेथोडोलॉजी के जैसे भी यूज करते हैं. तो वहां पे अगर मुझे लार्ज स्केल सर्वे लेना है, एंड whenever you pick up survey as a methodology, you are not going to restrict it to a few number of people. सर्वे को जब भी हम लेते हैं, it needs to cover a good amount of population. Okay, so यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि हर एक बंदे से जाकर कि आप मेरा ये 5 मिनट का सर्वे भर दीजिए या ये एक फॉर्म भर दीजिए, not possible. Usually nowadays what happens is we basically release our Google forms, right? तो वो Google form in the form of a survey we basically release और हर जगह सर्कुलेट करते हैं थ्रू आर डिफरेंट चैनल्स, थ्रू आर डिफरेंट कॉन्टैक्ट्स. यहाँ पे अगर मेरा कन्वीनियंस सैम्पलिंग है तो एक सीधा साधा चीज है, जो भी लोग सामने से खुद से मेरे रिसर्च का हिस्सा बनकर वो फॉर्म भर रहे हैं, डेटा मैं उन्हीं से सिलेक्ट करूंगी. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू से दैट ओके I'm going to pick up 100 people or I need 100, 100 will be my sample size. मैं नहीं डिसाइड करूंगी 500 मेरा सैम्पल साइज होगा. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डिसाइड. जिसको भी मेरे रिसर्च का हिस्सा बनना है, मेरा काम था फॉर्म बनाना, सर्कुलेट करना, मैंने कर दिया। जितने भी लोग सामने से उस फॉर्म को फिल कर रहे, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ माई सैंपल. So if this is the case that you're using, then it is an example of convenient sampling. Very easy. जो भी आ रहे हैं खुद से और मेरे रिसर्च का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं, वो they are welcome. They are more than welcome, and I'm going to include them in my research. So you have not determined a particular number prior. Understanding. So that is an example of convenient sampling. Moving ahead. Okay, one more. Moving ahead to the next type of sampling is quota sampling. It is like convenient sampling, but यहाँ पे जो मैं थोड़ी देर पहले कह रही थी कि आपने एक नंबर डिसाइड नहीं किया है, यहाँ पे आप नंबर डिसाइड करेंगे. For example, if I say that yes, I'm going to circulate this particular form, or maybe I'm going to ask people that whether you all will be, whether you all are ready to be a part of my experiment or not. ठीक है, दिस इज माई एक्सपेरिमेंट वगैरह मैंने सबकी ब्रीफिंग दे दी है. तो जो भी पहले 50 लोग आएंगे सामने से वॉलंटरली दैट यस आई वांट टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ योर रिसर्च, दे विल बी अ पार्ट ऑफ माई सैंपल. यानी आई हैव डिसाइडेड अ नंबर 50 over here. This is just an example. You all can definitely change the numbers as per your research. There is a way how we select a sample size. तो यहाँ पे मैंने एक हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल दिया कि 50 सैंपल साइज सपोज मेरी है और मैं कोटा सैम्पलिंग के लिए जा रही हूँ. मैंने कहा जो पहले 50 लोग आएंगे वॉलंटरीली खुद सामने से कहेंगे कि हाँ हमें आपका सर्वे फॉर्म भरना है, या फिर हमें आपके रिसर्च, आपके एक्सपेरिमेंट का हिस्सा बनना है. Those people I'm going to take in my research. So that is a quota sampling. So the moment I get the 51th entry, क्योंकि मेरा 50 था सैंपल साइज, जैसे वो 51 हो जाता है, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक दैट पर्सन इन माय रिसर्च बिकॉज मेरा सैंपल साइज का एक मैंने डिसाइड किया था जो 50 था. सो दोज आर ओनली द फर्स्ट 50 पीपल विल बी a part of my research. The moment the 51st member comes, I am not going to count that person in my sample, or I'm not going to include that person in my sample. So over here, there's a predetermined number, and that if this is the case, then it is said to be a quota sampling. Okay. Next is snowball sampling. इसको याद रखना तो सिर्फ एक चीज याद रखिए, रेफरेंसिंग. इट्स अ रेफरल सिस्टम. ओके, एक बंदे के बारे में दूसरे ने बताया, दूसरे का रेफरेंस किसी तीसरे ने दूसरे ने किसी तीसरे का रेफरेंस दिया, तीसरे ने चौथे का रेफरेंस दिया, चौथे ने पांचवे का रेफरेंस दिया, एंड सो ऑन. ओके, सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू हैव अ रिसर्च जहां पे द नंबर ऑफ सैंपल साइज इज यूजुअली लेस, कि चांसेस बहुत कम है कि आपको एक पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी के लोग मिलेंगे जो कि आपके रिसर्च के सैंपल का के डिस्क्रिप्शन में बैठते हैं. तब जो भी सैंपल पहले आपको मिला है, जो भी पार्टिसिपेंट आपको मिला है, आप उस इंसान के पास जाएंगे, एंड देन यू आर गोइंग टू ऑफ कोर्स टेक द इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम दैट पर्सन, एंड देन यू आर गोइंग टू आस्क द पर्सन वेदर आपके जानकारी में कोई सिमिलर इंसान है जिन्होंने भी जिन्होंने ये पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम फेस किया है या जो मेरे क्राइटेरिया में मीट करते हैं. सो हो सकता है कि उनके कोई फ्रेंड्स हो, सो दे माइट से दैट यस दिस देयर इज दिस वन फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन. सो आप उनके थ्रू पूछ सकते हो कि क्या आपके फ्रेंड मेरे रिसर्च का हिस्सा बनना चाहेंगे. सो दिस पर्सन इज गोइंग टू स्पीक टू द अदर पर्सन, एंड अगर वो हाँ बोलता है तो उसके डिटेल्स आपके साथ शेयर करेंगे. सो ये फर्स्ट पर्सन के बाद आप यहाँ पे गए. ओके, ये रेफरल सिस्टम हो गया. नंबर 2, तो यहाँ पे भी जाकर आप सेम, आपको जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए था या जो भी आपको प्रोग्राम इंप्लीमेंट करना था आपने वो किया, और सेम क्वेश्चन आप नंबर 2 पर्सन से के पूछते कि क्या डू यू नो समवन एल्स हु इज हैविंग द सेम कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स दैट आई एम सर्चिंग फॉर, जो कि जैसे अभी आपको पता है रिसर्च क्या है. सो ये जो बंदा है वो तीसरे बंदे का नाम देगा, एंड सो ऑन. सो दिस इज अ स्नोबॉल सैम्पलिंग. स्नोबॉल सैम्पलिंग इज सिंपली द रेफरल सिस्टम. एक इंसान ने दूसरे इंसान के बारे में बताया, फिर आप वहां जाते हैं, वहां से इंफॉर्मेशन लेंगे, वहां से जैसे इंफॉर्मेशन आपको मिलता है यू विल मूव ऑन टू द थर्ड पर्सन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द रेफरेंस that the second person has given, and so on. This is also said to be chain sampling because यहाँ पे chain बनता जा रहा है. So इसको snowball sampling, referral sampling, chain sampling ये बोला जाता है. Usually examinations में ऐसे अलग अलग वर्ड्स से भी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. And snowball sampling is one of the most favorite questions of UGC NET and SET. कोई ना कोई, phase में, yeah, it comes under different shifts. The examination is conducted in different shifts. कोई ना कोई shift में snowball sampling पे question 101% है. Because they will give you a case study type of stuff, maybe like you are, you know, maybe a breast cancer survivor. Okay, just an example. So breast cancer survivor, every female is not a breast cancer survivor, and of maybe this particular age. So वो और restriction आ जाता है. Maybe of 50 more than 50 age breast cancer survivor, आप उनके ऊपर कोई research कर रहे हैं, तो आपको अपने रेफरल सिस्टम से एक बंदा मिल गया, वहां पे आप गए, वहां से आपने डेटा कलेक्ट किया, या फिर एक पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप मिल गया, मे बी फ्रॉम अ हॉस्पिटल, फिर वहां से आप पूछते कि आपके जानकारी में कोई और भी फीमेल है क्या जो कि 50+ है और जो कि ब्रेस्ट कैंसर सर्वाइवर है. वहां से यू मूव अहेड एंड you take information from the second group or from the individual, अगर आपको सिर्फ एक individual मिलता है, and so on this chain continues. So एक बंदे से जो आपको रेफरल मिलता है वो आपका सैंपल बनता जाता है. So this is again a non probability sampling technique, because जरूरी नहीं है कि जितने भी रेफरेंसेस, यानी मुझे जिसके बारे में, मेरा ग्रुप शायद छोटा हो तो मैं सिर्फ कुछ ब्रेस्ट कैंसर सर्वाइवर्स को जानती हूँ जो कि उस पर्टिकुलर एज में है. Maybe I'm actually missing out many more people in my area. So again, there is not an equal probability that every individual has an equal chance to be a part of your group. So that's why, even though it's a referral system, it comes under non-probability sampling methodology. So this is all about the non-probability sampling techniques in research. So like I said, that basically there are two types of sampling techniques, probability and non-probability. In today's class, I have covered about the non-probability sampling techniques. It's very, very important. जैसे मैंने कहा, short एक question पक्का आता है इस पे. Apart from this, the people who are working in PhD or maybe doing some action research or any type of research for related to your master thesis, this concept is a very important concept for you all. And in the next class, I will also be covering the probability sampling methods with you all. So till then, please share this channel with others so that जिनके लिए ये concepts important है, जो कि ऐसे concepts पे information चाहते हैं, उनको ये information मिले. So please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. And till the next time we meet, have a nice day and stay blessed. Bye-bye.